once I was released from the hospital after my overdose, my ex-husband was forced to let me come stay with him because he was actually the one that gave me the alcohol and the keys to my car and kicked me out. And so everything that happened he was liable for it. And I'm sure that he told them he wanted me gone, and when they began to discuss it, he revealed that I was due a settlement and I hadn't done anything to look into it. Well, I was out of my fucking mind and I was incapable of making decisions, financial decisions or otherwise, for myself during this time, and he just refused to help me walk through the process because I didn't know anything about his financial situation, his 401k, his retirement. It never really came up during our marriage because I had no plan to ever need to know the situation. That's the trap. Always fucking know what you're due. Always know what you're owed, ladies. Because there will come a time, no matter how much you love him now, where you will need to know how much you are fucking owed. But, so he has to, he can't just kick me out again, because him doing that and me having nowhere to go and no money nearly got me killed. And I spent like a week in the hospital. And so he did help me get my portion of the settlement and the pittance from being his wife for 20 years in the Navy. Like, it wasn't much. It was like $300 a month. It kept me alive while I was homeless, so I guess there's that. But I'm back from the hospital. We're sitting on the patio as usual, and he just calmly looks at me. We're talking, we're calm, everything's fine. I've accepted that he's told me he's done the paperwork and I'm gonna get my money and start looking for an apartment. And he just completely turned around his attitude, where before he was like, bitch, get out, go figure it out, I'm not here to help you, right? Like, he was totally careless of my plight, but yet he would provide alcohol and let me drink. But when it came time to helping me get what I needed to set up and get an apartment and move out like he wanted, he didn't want to help me at all, but he would buy me alcohol. Anyway, so after all this, he's now scared because he's realized what he's done. And he asked me very calmly, he says, this doesn't mean I'm in love with you. It doesn't mean I want you back, right? Like, you know this. I'm just trying to help you get set up. It's over between us, right? And I was like, yes. All I ever wanted you to do was help me get what I needed so I could get the fuck away from you and not be homeless. But that's the trap life, because the military is really the epitome of the patriarchal show of force. It really is their biggest accomplishment, is strong military presence. The patriarchy is fond of its military presence, and I got recruited into that in my 20s. And it nearly fucking killed me when I realized it was all a scam and that I had been had. And I ended up getting this apartment in Conroe, and that's when I'm really isolated. And I remember right before all this went to hell, my ex and I went to see Hamlet at the Pavilion, and one line jumped out at me. And by the way, my ex, big fan. Hamlet is his favorite Shakespeare play. I want you to think about that for a second. Make the connection. Everybody's got one Shakespeare play that resonates with them, and Hamlet just happens to be my ex's. But one line stuck out at me is when Hamlet told Ophelia to get thee to a nunnery. And while all this craziness was going on and I was completely out of my mind, living in a tent and with no money and no ability to take care of myself, I kept hearing that phrase over and over and over again. Get thee to a nunnery. And it was like, what? Because what do I think of when I think of a nunnery, right? Well, when I'm looking up apartments, I run across a listing for our community called Abbey at Conroe, and nuns live in an abbey. And I was suddenly like, yep, that's where I'm going to live. That must have been the sign. That's the sign. That's where I got to go live. And it was a trap, because once I moved in, I was completely isolated from everybody. And that's when the weird burning sensation, my cat acting strange, me not being able to sleep, the hundreds of hours of YouTube videos I uploaded in a manic state, all the weird shit that came out of my mouth. I couldn't have normal conversations with people. I couldn't leave the house. I was completely trapped inside this hellscape, and it was nuts. And a lot of people who knew me before all this happened, they watched those videos and they were fucking scared of what was happening to me. And it was all the result of being medicated, which I made very fucking clear while it was going on. It was causing me to lose all that medication was causing me to lose my fucking mind and try to commit suicide. And then do hundreds of hours of videos on fucking YouTube in my underwear calling out my government. Like, it was nuts. And the Hamlet thing, where it was all a conspiracy, right? And Ophelia ended up dying. She ended up killing herself. She was so broken up over losing Hamlet that she killed herself. That's the rumor. That's the rumor. So it all clicked into place, and it was shortly after Hurricane Harvey when I realized that I was in so much danger if I stayed another day. I mean, I had $1,000 cash in a car, and that $300 stipend I got, and I was like, it's gonna have to be enough. You're gonna have to just figure it out. Just get in the car and go. And so I did. And now I'm here. Now I'm doing this. So I say witchcraft actually does work. Honestly. 100% it works. Because that story I'm telling you, I don't bear any resemblance to that woman. And I should not have survived any of that. I should not have survived any of the things that I survived the last 15 years. It's crazy. So, yeah. He was in on it. I had to conclude that he was in on it. My ex-husband wanted me, like, he was cooperating with whoever was making all these decisions to do all this fuck shit to me. He was cooperating with them. I have no doubt in my mind. And I knew it back then, and that's why the betrayal nearly killed me. That's why it nearly killed me. Because our whole marriage, I really thought I could rely on him and depend on him, and that he would always be there. And in the end, he was my biggest danger, my biggest enemy. He turned into my biggest enemy.